Greetings, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to In the Prog Seat. It's Tuesday night. This is our maiden voyage with the big crew on StreamYard. We're hoping that everything goes okay. Tonight we're going to be talking about favorite sophomore albums. If you don't know what a sophomore album is, favorite second albums in the prog world. Let me introduce the crew before we start talking about our favorites here. They start all the way at the bottom. We got Mr. Eric Porter is here. Ken Golden, the Professor Prog, is here. Our center square, because even though we're not on Zoom, we still have center squares. Mr. Chad Hutchinson. Chuck Alvarez is here. The Cans is here. Chris Canzaneri. And, of course, George Lemie. What's going on, everybody?
How you doing?
How are you, Pete? Hey, Eric, could you put a light on or something? You're very dark.
I can.
No, I leave it off. It's better that way.
All right, I'll be back.
Ken wants to see your gorgeous face a little bit clearer.
I want to see. I want it all, man.
Ken couldn't bring that up in rehearsal. He had to do it now.
Don't play me for cheap or anything, man. I want it all.
Is that better?
There you go.
Yeah, a little better. Yeah, a little bit.
So I've asked everybody to pick out their 5 favorites second albums. Okay, and what we'll do? Why don't we do 2 at a time? We'll go 2, and then our number 1. I don't know if you guys have them in any specific order or whatnot, but that's how we'll do it. So let's start off with Eric then. So Eric, kick us off with your 4 and 5 favorite second albums.
I'm going to start with Angleguard, Epilogue. This one, when I picked this up, absolutely blew my mind. All instrumental. And Ken, I don't remember if this was on your Mellotron show or not, but if it's not, I'm sure it'll be on part 2.
Oh, it was. Yeah.
Great use of the Mellotron. Really quirky, but interesting arrangements. Gets very heavy at times. Other times it's very atmospheric and dark, but absolutely love that one. And I'm going to go with somebody I just saw recently, Al Di Meola. Trying to get this Elegant Gypsy at number 4. Just fantastic. Love listening to his guitar playing. A bunch of us just saw him live over the past couple weeks, so he's back out there doing it. I think was this 77 this was released, if I'm remembering correctly. Just, absolutely fantastic. Everyone loves Al, so that's my number 4.
You do. Everybody does love Al. Cool.
Tonight he's doing better.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
He looked good.
Yeah.
I mean, his playing was great, of course, but he looked healthy. He looked really good.
I think he's a guy who just keeps himself in great shape, and so even though he had this heart attack, I think he just rebounded from really, really quickly.
Yeah.
It's funny, my wife and I, we had saw him like literally like a couple of days beforehand with his wife and his daughter in the village, and all of a sudden, a couple of days later, he winds up having this heart attack. I was kind of saddened, but I'm glad that he's doing better.
Definitely.
Yep. For sure. All right, Ken, over to you.
We're just doing 1 now? We're going around 1?
2, 1.
Oh, you did 2.
Yeah, we'll do 2 and 1.
Yeah, I'm not paying attention. I'm sorry.
Thanks,
so these are in no order.
He's too busy worried about being able to see Eric's face.
Exactly.
These are in no order. I pulled out a bunch of albums that are great sophomore albums, and I kind of avoided the very obvious stuff. I tend to go towards the slightly more esoteric. So my first one is from Eloy Inside. Just their first album was a real stinker, the one with the garbage can cover. And this is like their first real prog album. The first one was kind of like a shitty hard rock album. And Frank kind of took control of the band. Very, very heavy organ dominated sound. Bit of, I guess maybe if you want to say like Uriah Heep crossed with Pink Floyd. So it's got a bit of a space rock feel to it, but not overtly like when I say Pink Floyd, I don't mean like later on when they were doing Silent Cries and Mighty Echoes, anything like that. This is very organ driven. Frank's guitar work, I think, is beautiful. His vocals are his vocals. You just have to learn to live with them. And it's just, man, this album just kills. It's got the sidelong track, Land of No Body, just amazing. Future City, 5-minute tune, one of the best they ever did. That's If you want to call it number 5, it could be number 1. Next. This might surprise people because they may not realize it's their second album. Il Balletto di Bronzo. Yes. So one of the greatest, not easily one of the great Italian prog albums and one of the great prog albums of all time. Very heavy keyboard dominated sound. You got Hammond organ, you got Mellotron, great vocals. It's kind of got a bit of a classical influence, not as overt as, let's say, Bonco, but great. Yeah, Johnny Leone is leading the band at this point, and man, it's just a masterpiece. Truly one of the greatest prog albums ever recorded, 1972, I believe, and I love it. And every time I put it on, it just gets higher and higher for me. So that's what I got. Il Balletto di Bronzo.
That's classic. Good one. All right, Chad, over to you.
Okay, I'm gonna try our new technology here if it works. Except,
Show off. Let's see.
no, it's not. How do you get it on the screen? The button's not there.
I think it's on the image, Chad. I think it says like add to stage or something. Holy
There
shit.
you go. It looks like I have to add it. Whatever anybody's going to use. Look at that.
All right, so here we go.
Nice.
Well, I mean, some of mine are going to be more obvious, but I did have to weed out a lot of the ones that either I think other people are going to pick or are just too obvious. But anyway, my number 5 is Camel's Mirage.
Nice.
I mean, that one's just too good not to put up there for me. Out of I'd say the 4 classic Camel albums, that's my favorite of the 4. The first one's a great album. Mood Madness and Snow Goose are both great, but Mirage is top for me, so I had to go with that. And my number 4, Spock's Beard.
Nice.
Beware of Darkness. The Light is a great first album, but I thought that everything just came together on this album, from The Doorway, which is probably my favorite of the Spock's Beard songs on their catalog. Thoughts is great from the Gentle Giant tribute standpoint. George Harrison cover of Beware of Darkness is just
awesome.
Such a left turn from the original, and it's awesome. Time Has Come, 16-minute epic to end it. It's a solid album from top to bottom, and I've always loved it. Never gotten tired of it. So that's my number 4.
Bonus points to Chad for such a lovely looking presentation. Nicely done.
When he said he was when Chad said he was in meetings all day, we know what he was really doing.
I did that yesterday. Thank you very much.
All right, Chuck, over to you.
Greetings, gentlemen. All right, my number 5 is the Belgian rockin' opposition band, Universe Zero. So nice instrumental album. Looks at some chilling stuff on here. Probably just a bit more chamberish and a little bit more harder than their debut album, 1313. And then my number 4.
Luis would be very happy with you.
Oh, I know he'll be very happy with that one. Number 4 is Nectar, A Tab in the Ocean. What's this album right here?
Great.
We, gotta think about this great band over here. The title track is absolute killer. King of Twilight's been covered by a few bands, including Iron Maiden. Desolation Valley, Waves. Just a great album, man. This is a quite departure from their first album, which was a little bit more psychedelic. This one is pretty much harder, and so I love this album. My number 4 is Nectar's, A Tab in the Ocean.
Great pick. Yeah, I forgot all about that one. Cool. All right, Chris, you want me to add your stuff to the stage here?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Here we go.
Okay.
All right.
I don't even need to tell you what this is because we have a big giant fucking picture right here. But yeah, I Robot by Alan Parsons Project. Not as proggy as their first album. Contained a hit single or two. Everybody knows Wouldn't Want to Be Like You. So if you're casual, you already know something about this album.
And the title track is so great.
Yeah, it is. Great. And it's just, fun shit you can do with synthesizers that people hadn't done a million times already when this album was made. So
Wonderful.
Great vocals, man.
Yeah.
Great vocals.
Yep. Killer album, well known.
Mhm.
Still worth checking out if you never have. And my number 4, let's see. I don't remember how I set these up. Francis
Yes.
Mute by
Mhm.
Mars Volta. This is obviously their second album. This band is a band that from their earliest days, at the drive-in and stuff like that, I never really got their music. And even their debut was a little dense and just a little much for me. And then this came out, and this is it just hits all the right spots for me. There's all kinds of influences. There's all kinds of music on this album. It's hard, it's heavy, it's jazzy. There's Latin passages. It's just all kinds of great shit thrown into one bag and executed perfectly. Great playing, great drumming. The guitar player is great. The singer is absolutely unique without being, I suppose his lyrics may not be, or his vocals might not be something that Eric would like or even me, but he's distinctive as hell, memorable, recognizable, and very talented. And I love this album. So Francis the Mute, Mars Volta, my number 4.
Chris, what made you keep trying them after not getting into the first couple? Because I did try them; they weren't for me. But why?
I think it was their 5th album. The something album? Bedlam and Goliath. I think it's their 5th album or 4th, maybe. That's even more accessible than this. And I kind of started grooving on that, and then worked my way backwards.
Okay.
That was the worst concert I've ever seen. Was Mars Volta.
Really?
How do you really feel, Ken?
Huh?
How do you really feel?
I don't know. I think that I thought that the albums were pretty good. The first couple of albums were good, interesting, right? And I figured, what the hell, I'm game. And I had seen some live footage, and I said, yeah, let's go. Oh man, that was
everything I've seen. I've never seen them, but clips I've looked at on video.
I'm not even sure I stayed to the end. It was interminable. It was just watching, just listening to chaos for like 90 minutes. Incomprehensible.
Wherever he is, though, Louis Nasser is jumping the jig right now because he loves it.
So. Same here.
The albums were pretty good. The albums were pretty good.
All right, George, over to you.
My number 5 is from home state of Mr. Golden. Thank you, scientists. Stranger Heads Prevail. A septet. That's pretty rare. They have a sax, trumpet, and violin full time. They're also, like Mars Volta, very eclectic, very a vocalist Eric would hate, but highly progressive and great guitar player. Good players across the board. The first album was good, but this is a little bit of a step up. My number 4 is from some podunk label on the East Coast. Haken Visions.
Awesome.
I mean, I've talked about this band and this album before. This is kind of the band that came out of the gate so polished with the album. I kind of expected it might be one of those bands where there's a fall off, but this is just as good to me. I had to pick Visions at number 4.
Great pick. All right. I brought a whole stack. I decided that I'm sure a lot of us are going to pick some of the same ones, so I brought more than enough to not repeat because all of these could be in my top 5. I'm going to go with the number 5, Death Walks Behind You by Atomic Rooster. Killer album. Yep. Vincent Crane, Mr. Hammond, and Mr. Ducan. Power trio, organ, guitar, and drums. It's complex. It's heavy. It's almost heavy like Sabbath in times, but there's like some wild ELP type stuff going on here as well. Easily the best album in their catalog, and they never topped it. And I love it. So that's my number 5. My number 4, got to go with Images and Words by Dream Theater. One of the great second albums of all time. It's perfect from start to finish. Responsible, and so influential for much of the prog metal that came in its wake in the 90s. And it's just got memorable tunes, killer compositions, sick playing. I mean, everything about it is great. Production's awesome. And their biggest selling album to date. So, yeah. Images, Words, Dream Theater, number 4. Back to Eric.
Okay, 2 more, Pete, or you want to do all 3?
2 more.
2? Okay.
Yep.
I'm still on a high from this show. I'm going with the Dixie Dregs.
There you
Free
go.
fall. Everything, right? You get country, you get fusion, rock. You got the best players in the business, just about. I absolutely love them, and was great to see them out there again. Great to see Steve out on the road. And number 2, a band that was a huge influence on the Dregs. I'm going with Mahavishnu Orchestra, Birds of Fire. Don't think we have to talk about that one too much. Go buy it. That's about all I have to say.
Yep.
That's a definitive statement right there. Go buy it.
Indeed, go buy it.
Absolutely. John McLaughlin and Company. All right, Ken, over to you.
Banco
Nice.
del Mucho Soccorso, Darwin.
Mm-hmm.
Their second album, just one of the greatest vocalists of all time, Francesco Di Giacomo. The Nocenzi brothers, 2 keyboard players, very heavy classical influence with an operatic singer, just extraordinary. Opens up with the long track La Evoluzione is the opener, and man, just off to the races. Their first album was excellent. This is a step up, better production.
Yep.
I don't know
Great
what to say.
rhythm section. Great rhythm
One
section.
of the greatest shows I ever saw was the show that Mr. Hutchinson put on at Nearfest.
Yep.
When I saw Monco the first time, second time, phenomenal. The first time almost brought me to tears, literally.
Francesco was in tears.
Yeah, he was, and you know, the hairs on my arm really, like they were standing up. I was getting douche chills. It was phenomenal. Next, one of my favorite albums in my collection, National Health of Q's and Cured.
Oh, good
First
one.
album, a fine album. Went
Yep.
through a lineup change, and one of the great Canterbury albums. One vocal track, if I remember correctly. Was it 2? 2? Yeah, Binoculars was originally Legend of His Own Lunchtime that Richard Sinclair sang on the demos, but then John Greaves, I believe, sings on this version. Dreams Wide Awake, certainly one of the greatest organ solos of all time.
Yep.
And maybe Dave Stewart's all-time best, where you basically hear him just ripping the shit out of that organ, man. He just rips the guts out of it, and it's just, it's unbelievable. Phil Miller playing this filthy guitar all the way through. Just a totally treacherous album. If you're into jazz rock, you got to hear this album. It's a great one. First one, phenomenal. A bit different. First one, a little bit more like Hatfield in the North, with Amanda Parsons on it. This one, a little bit more of its own thing. Well, you could still hear the DNA of Hatfield in the North. Great one. National Health of Q's and Cures.
Great choice.
There's a lot of good sophomore albums.
Oh,
We could be here all night.
Yep. All right, I'll move back over to Chad and add his stage back up. There we go.
All right, my number 3 is the second from Bruford, One of a Kind.
Anniversary today.
One of my all-time favorites. It starts off so great with Hell's Bells, and then One of a Kind. You've got Fading and Coils and 5G, and Sahara of Snow. It's just killer all the way through. The playing's great. There's no vocals, thank God, like the first one. It's just a stone cold classic to me. I love that album. My number 2, Rush's Fly By Night. It's such a
Love it.
It's such the launch pad for what they were going to do compared to that first album of the Led Zeppelin blues rock. They came into their own, minus Rivendell. I don't care what anyone says. But top to almost bottom, it's just a killer album. It's got epics, it's got a little sci-fi, it's got great playing, and it's just worlds apart from that first album. And to this day, I still love it, and you can't beat a good Snowy Owl.
That's right.
Except for maybe the owl in Chris's backyard. Which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, he was pretty cool.
All right. Chuck, back over to you.
All right. My number 3 is the great German bass player, Eberhard Weber, Silent Feet. It's my number 3. And my number 2, also from Germany, is Faust. So far.
Wow. All right.
Mm-hmm. So I wanted to go a little bit off kilter than so with these albums over here. We went to albums that I know that Louis Nassar would love very much. So Silent Feet and So Far.
Nice. Well, we got great cross selection stuff here. All right, Chris, back over to you. I'll put your image on the page.
Oh, all right. Yes. Futurama.
Yes.
By Bebop Lux. I knew you'd love this one, Chuck.
Yes. I was listening to that on Friday.
Yeah, cool. This continued their sort of style jacking and jumping that they started on their first album. There was a little bit more of an eye towards trying to make a hit single. There's a couple of pretty straightforward tracks on here that are sort of radio friendly, but they're still Bebop Deluxe. Guitar playing is awesome. The guy, Nelson he's just a completely underrated, underknown guitar player. If you're into that kind of shit, you should check this album out, of course.
Most definitely.
I wouldn't say it's their best album, but it was a hell of a move from the first one, and a nice transition towards Sunburst Finish. And I think that's my favorite album from them. But yeah, Bebop Deluxe Futurama, yes. Number 3. Number 2, Parallel Amico by PFM. This is I think technically it's actually an EP, but it's about 40 minutes long. This is very diverse album. There's some pretty heavy passages, but what really gets me is the piano playing on this. Mm-hmm. There's just some absolutely lovely piano going on in the slower songs, and it all jives together with what makes a pretty nice package, varied in styles. But it can get pretty heavy at times, especially for its time. I think it came out in 1972. But yeah, I'm just starting to really get into Italian prog. Being Italian, I suppose I have to check this shit out. This is a standout. If you don't have it, get it, buy it. That's what Eric says. That's what I say. So
you and Sal getting into the Italian prog.
Yeah. That's right. You gotta start listening to more Pasta Prog there, Chris.
Yeah, Pasta
Prog. That could get very expensive.
That's a great album, man. You can't go wrong with their first albums. You really can't. Mm-hmm. Good choice. And as far as Bebop Deluxe goes, other than their last album, I think you can pick any of those albums as being their best. They're all so different from each other and all so good. Great, really great band.
It's a matter of taste.
Yeah, exactly. A little something for everybody. All right, George, back to you.
The next one has been called, in words, widely seen by everyone as an improvement over almost every facet of it. Production's better, vocals are better, songwriting is better. If somebody has ever stepped it up a notch, it's got to be this album. And it is the template for like 50% of 90s prog metal. I mean, and a gateway to getting signed too, because it wasn't exactly viable before this. So. Number 2, also been called, but you got to have it. I mean, it's an improvement over the first album for me. It's pretty much a flawless album, and like some tracks are like cornerstone tracks for the entire genre, like of 70s fusion. So for me, it was a no-brainer. Elegant Gypsy.
All right. What to choose here? All right. They're all going to get mentioned eventually. So I'm going to go with Focus's second album, Moving Waves, or Focus 2, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
Like a lot of Great album. And like a lot of the ones we picked so far, in not in every case, but a lot of these, the second album eclipses the debut. This certainly does. I think the debut is fine for what it is, but man, this is great. It starts off with the wacky Hocus Pocus, which everybody's heard, heavy guitars, yodeling, all sorts of crazy stuff. It's got the sidelong epic eruption, which has all sorts of great stuff on there. Amazing Jan Ackerman guitar playing throughout this. Great organ, great flute. I mean, the whole 9 yards. Really cool band. One of the best Dutch prog bands ever, in my opinion. Focus. And let's see. Ken's favorite band, Kansas, Song for America. There you go, Ken. There's the overalls. Just for you. Yeah, I love their debut. I love this one too. The title track is amazing. It's got a couple boogie tracks on here, but man, Into the Atman, In Comodro, so good. Lamplight Symphony, so good. Lonely Street is beautiful. Just a great album. And I love all Kansas' 70s albums, and I had to make sure I included them here. So that's my number 2. Back to Eric.
Nice.
Okay, number 1. This is about the only one that, as everyone said, we're just kind of throwing a 5 out there, but this is definitely my number 1. Happy the Man, Crafty Hands. There's not a better Moog player than Kit Watkins that I've ever heard. Absolutely fantastic. I love this band. Only misstep maybe is the vocal, but that's no surprise for me, I guess. Just top shelf stuff. I love these guys. I wish they'd done more. And again, as Ken thanked Chad, I have to thank Chad, as I've done probably 10 times, for bringing them in the 2000 edition of Near Fest, which was amazing. So that's my number 1.
Cool. Great choice. All right, Ken. I know you're going to pick Song for America, right?
Well, I was, but I had to change it now that you pointed out. I don't want to repeat.
You got to be in the honorables, though.
I have so many, so. Okay, so this is one of the best albums that Emerson, Lake and Palmer never recorded. Triumvirate, Illusions on a Double Dimple.
Good one.
Yeah, good one.
Yeah. So you got Jürgen Fritz is the keyboard player. I mean, he built a career around mimicking what Keith Emerson did, but he did it really, really well. And if you're into the classically oriented Emerson, Lake and Palmer trio, I mean, they became a quartet later on, but this album's absolutely phenomenal. It's got the sidelong 23-minute title track, Mr. 10%, hands off Mr. 10%. That's great. Yeah, I just love it. No Mellotron, but man, some just great Hammond organ. I mean, I love this band. It's not their best album, but it's better than Mediterranean Tales, which was their first album. And for me, Spartacus was their best.
But I agree.
This is some people think this is their best, and they're wrong.
I take Spartacus.
Great record.
I always like that cover for some reason. I don't know why.
Oh, people loved it. They nicknamed them Rat, the Rat. They would always refer to Triumvirate as the Rat. So,
Poor guy.
Yeah,
he deserves better than that.
And yeah, I got to tell you, the German Harvest pressings, phenomenal. Great sounding albums.
Good choice. All right, Chad, back over to you.
My number 1's been called, but it had to be this. I've listened to this album so many times. Like George said, it was such a step forward in all respects. It was such a groundbreaking album for the progressive metal genre, and it's just phenomenal. So there's not much else you can say about it, but Images and Words, number 1.
Cool. Chuck?
My number 1, American, Frank Zappa, Absolutely Free.
Ooh, wow. Right.
I wanted to go, like I said, I wanted to go a little bit out of the ways and so. And as you see from my 5 and so, all great albums, but all out the way. My number 1, Frank Zappa, is Absolutely Free.
Very cool. We include Frank in here somewhere tonight. So nice. All right, Chris, over to you, and I will get you on the stage. There we go.
The one that's already been called. I love their first album, and I actually think Snow Goose might be my favorite, but this kills. This was a big step for them. this might be the proggiest of the first 4 or 5 albums, but yeah, you know, what can you say? A classic. Everybody should love it. Yeah. If you don't love it, you can't be my friend. So, sorry.
It's got Lady Fantasy. You don't need anything else.
Make Anthony proud.
That's right. That's right.
I'm sure that was the point.
All right, George.
My last one's from Sweden. Andromeda, 2 equals 1. Their debut blew me off the planet, so the chance that they were going to put out something better was very, very slim, but I actually think this is better. There's one kind of odd piano song, but the rest of this is nuclear prog metal. It's completely great stuff. If you like prog metal at all, you have to have it.
George, what happened to them?
They got one member that's kind of off the reservation, and he kind of is controlling things, so nothing's going to happen unless he gets his head right.
And at this point, it's been so long already. It's like
They put out the live. They put out the live thing.
The other guys all kind of gave up.
Good albums.
I think what they should do at this point is just form a new band, just all of them, and just call it something different and move on.
Nah.
All right, my number 1, Jethro Tull, Stand Up. And I know Chad thought about this one long and hard.
Yeah, thought hard. Thought really hard about it.
I mean, for me, an absolute huge improvement over the debut. The debut is basically just a British blues album. It's fine for what it is, but this is where kind of all starts coming into place. You got elements of folk on here. There's still some blues on here, little bits of jazz, and I think some of the dynamic and complex song structures that we would start to see on albums like Aqualung and Passion Play and Thick as a Brick and whatnot. And just great stuff. Great recording too. Just a wonderful early 70s proto-prog type of album from Jethro.
For what it's worth, Pete, I have that edition.
Cool.
Nice.
Makes a great coaster.
Wow.
I would not do that to a CD. Well, depends on the album.
Yeah, there you go.
Not that one. I wouldn't do that to you.
All right, so we'll go one more trip around. Everybody, if you got some honorable mentions you want to rattle off, Eric, we'll go back to you.
2 that were called. I'm going with Song for America for Ken and Camel Mirage. So those 2. Couple that haven't been called. I'm going to go with Brand X, Moroccan Roll.
Oh yeah,
My favorite.
And I'm also going to throw Steve Hackett, Please Don't Touch, into the mix.
there you go. Nice, Ken.
Well, Chuck stole my thunder with this one, so not.
Yeah.
Album I did, I think it's a pretty damn good album. Black Bonzo, Sound of the Apocalypse.
Oh yeah.
I thought someone would pick that.
One of the rare vinyl editions. We licensed it to a short-lived English company who put this out on vinyl, and we covered this. I guess Pete, we covered this in the Mellotron show, right?
Yep, we did.
I think I talked about it. Great keyboard album, 70s style, hard rock, prog rock, sort of like a bit of Uriah Heep, very keyboard driven, just great prog album. And then the last one, another one I did, second album from a very eclectic band, still together. They've changed a little bit, just a little bit, because they have a new singer. Diablo Swing Orchestra. This is sing-along songs for the Damned and Delirious. They had a female operatic singer. It's like spaghetti western meets swing meets death metal meets you name it. They throw everything in, and they're absolutely crazy. And one of the greatest live shows I've ever seen. Just an amazing band, Diablo Swing Orchestra.
Couldn't get into that. It's not my thing.
Wow.
They were awesome band.
Oh wait, sorry. I don't know.
All right, Chad.
All right, I'll rattle don't believe some of these have been called, but got to share for me there, Pete.
Oh, sorry. Hold on. Hold
Show's
on.
so high tech now.
There we go.
There we go. So Angleguard was mentioned. Great album. The second one from Aurora Clara, one of our newer discoveries in the last few years. The first Transformations was great, but this one was just as good or better. Second DFA album. The first one was great, caught everybody off guard. Love these guys, Italian quartet. Unfortunately lost Alberto several years ago in a car accident. Great keyboard player.
You should have had that on the bad covers episode. That's terrible.
Yeah, it's not very good. Everybody loves Al.
Yep.
Second Echelon album. Step up from the first album. It's got sort of that epic suite at the end. A lot of great classic Echelon tracks on here. Suffocating the Bloom. Second Mike Keneally album, Sluggo. Solid effort from Mr. Keneally and Beer for Dolphins. Second Kenso album. Great Japanese fusion band. Love these guys. Second album's awesome. Second Morgable. There you go, Ken. That one I know wasn't yours, but I like that album to step up from the first one. There's a couple real fun songs on that. Here's one really for Ken. I thought the second Somnambulist album was fantastic. I loved it. They were supposed to play Nearfest, and then the bottom dropped out, and they didn't. Ken can tell you the bedtime story sometime of what happened. But first album was good, but a little weird. This one I thought just came at you. It was right in your face. A lot of organ. Great vocalist. Solid album. And that's it. I'm not going to get into all the other ones because they're all too obvious.
Cool. All right. Chris, we'll go over to you. I'm sorry, Chuck. I'm sorry. Hold on. Sorry, Chuck.
Chuck's turn. Okay. Honorable mention, Crack the Sky, Animal Notes. IQs, The Wake.
Oh, there you go. Yep.
And Hatfield and North, The Routers Club. Those are my honorable mentions.
Chuck's got curveballs all night.
I gotta say, Crack the Sky is a band that I can never get into.
Who's that?
Crack the Sky?
Yeah.
Crack the Sky?
Yeah, me neither.
Saw them twice.
I
They were
just
awesome.
don't get them.
Yeah, I love them.
Love them.
Popular band, but just not.
All right. Good stuff. We got a lot of great albums mentioned. All right, Chris, now we know what your next one is, but there you
No,
go.
the next one is. So, guys, I can't believe this one didn't get mentioned, but it is very obvious, very played out. But hey, it's on my list. Honorable. Of course, we all talked about Dream Theater's Images and Words. Killer album. This is the first time I'd heard anything like this when I heard this album. And, like George said, it's the archetype for prog metal. Everything grew out of this planter. So got to be on here. Buy it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Opus Morning Rise.
Yeah.
This is a unique album for them, I think. Every song is just a little story. And when I say little, it's not that little. They're all like over 8 or 9 minutes long. But for a second album, they really took a little bit of a turn. Dig it big time. And of course, here, this is the album where Genesis, I think, put it all together and started to be who they were going to be.
Yep.
I thought I added a slide. I was going to put Time and a Word by Yes on there. I really enjoy Tony Kaye's organ playing on there. You don't really hear that kind of stuff on many other Yes albums. It's gritty and kind of raw in a way that the rest of their stuff isn't. But enjoyable for me, for sure. So those are my honorables.
Cool. George.
This one's the biggest jump from debut quality to this record. Fate's Warning, Spectre Within.
Oh, yeah.
First album, kind of an amateurish Maiden kind of sounding album. This is light years beyond it for me.
Kind of remind me of Saxon.
My second one, someone that Mr. Golden brought to our attention, The Wonderful Ark. a prog metal album that actually sounds. They have a sound totally identifiable people, everything. My last one, and probably Eric's going to be angry. I forgot. Planet X, Moon Babies. Completely incredible instrumental prog. I would say buy it, but you should already have it. Just get it.
Yeah.
That's it.
All right. I've got some honorables that were already mentioned, so I'm not going to mention them because we know what they all are. I'm just going to pull out the ones that have not been mentioned, and I'm going to go Vandegraff's.
Yes.
Yeah, Eric.
We just wave to each other. Hi.
Mhm. Yes.
Again.
After the flood.
We have to wait for Eric because he won't listen to it.
Exactly.
Don't buy it.
It's such a big improvement over the debut. I'm not a
Oh,
fan
yeah.
of it. I mean, it's just a totally different band. Really
Yep.
great. Let's see. That's been mentioned. How about In the Wake of Poseidon?
Yes.
Not quite the classic as the debut, but I love it a lot. It's basically part 2 of that. And then
Devil's
of course,
Triangle.
after this album, they would change members, in a major way and whatnot. I'm shocked George didn't mention this, and I kind of didn't put it in my top 5 because I figured he would, and we only just talked about them recently here on the channel. Holy Land by Angra. I was waiting, and as soon as you didn't pick it, I was like, oh man. One of the great Brazilian prog / power metal albums of all time, and this is really more of a symphonic orchestral prog metal album. It's not really so much power metal, but just wonderful stuff, expertly recorded, and really, really cool. Gentle Giant, Acquiring the Taste.
There we go.
Yeah, I have it. Love it. It's great. I'm wearing the shirt.
There's another one.
Yep. And that's it, because everything else I have here has been mentioned. So
One that I forgot that Luis wouldn't be here, but one I'm sure he would have picked was Discipline's Unfolding Like Staircase.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Wow, that's a good one. Yeah. That's a really good one. Yeah, there's so many others. I mean, if we were to just sit here and for another 10 minutes and think about it, we could probably come up with another 20.
Yeah, this list was amazing.
Yep.
I just want to throw in there tribute to Anthony, Danger Money.
Yes.
I do have Anthony's list if we want.
Yes, let's hear his list. Go ahead.
So Anthony had Steve Hackett, Please Don't Touch at number 5, Genesis Trespass at number 4, Camel Mirage at number 3, Pink Floyd Saucer Full of Secrets at number 2, and shockingly, UK Danger Money at number 1.
Of course.
And don't forget, take a second sip. One of his honorables was Theme of Secrets.
His honorable is Theme of Secrets, Eddie Jobson, and Blackfield 2. So
Theme of Secrets.
we didn't forget you, Anthony.
We didn't forget you. People probably, where has Anthony been? We hope to see Anthony on the show soon. He's working later hours at his job, so it's been kind of hard to get him on here, but we'll see what happens. So so that's the show, everybody. So down in the comments below, list your 5 favorite second album, sophomore albums, as well as any honorables you might have, and we'll see if there's any that we completely missed out on down in the comments. So thanks for watching, everybody. Visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube all together. All the damn
time.
Please subscribe if you haven't already, and click on that notification bell so you get alert of all of our content as it posts. And please do hit the like button before you leave. Also, down below, we got the links to our Ko-Fi page for channel donations, our merch page, and our Cameo page. Thank you in advance for all your support there, and we'll see you back here in 2 weeks on In the Prog Seat. Have a good week, everybody. For Eric, Ken, Chad, Chuck, Chris, George, Anthony, and Lewis, I'm Pete. Have a good one, everybody. Take care.